If complete and utter chaos was lightning, then he'd be the sort to stand on a hilltop in a thunderstorm wearing wet copper armor and shouting, UK suffers. Terry Pratchett, The Colour of Magic. Hello and welcome to this French tournament final. It is played as part of the French Discord. This is game 3 of 3 of the... I'm just going to start again. I'll edit this part out. Hello and welcome to game 3 of 3 of the 4th French-only Warno tournament. And this is the grand final, game 3 of 3. No, I did it wrong again. I'll just edit that part out. Hello and welcome to the grand finals of the 4th French-only Warno tournament. And this is a best of 3, and we're here in game 3 of 3 between these two titans of France. You've got Sotek playing as the 1st UK Armoured Division, a traitor to his nation, and he's going up against Tiberius-Rancor playing as the 4th East German Schützendivision, a traitor to his nation, and we find ourselves on Two Lakes Duel. So I'm completely impartial. I don't really mind who wins. I hope they both lose. Sadly, that's not possible. And we'll go through the deployments. So this is game 3 of 3, as I've said already. And it's too late to start again. But basically, the interesting thing about this map is that blue has an advantage. And the reason blue has an advantage is if you get your forward deployed stuff on blue, you can get into Oscar at the same time the enemy does. So this is forward deployed, and you see it's sort of further away from the zone than this is, and so the blue guys will get there first. But on the other side, if the blue guy were to deploy forward deployed units, he could get them to the front of Zulu before the red guy can get his forward deployed units to the front of Zulu. So let's go through the deployment. On the far left, we've got a scimitar here, and that's going over to the far left to scout. And then in the middle, we've got Sotek's attack, and that consists of 3 Terrier Paras Carl Gustav. These have been nerfed quite a bit. The availability is quite low now. And he's taking really what is quite a defensive deployment with those. He could get them a couple buildings further back. And then 2 SAS Patrol. One of those is going to the building, and one's going to the open to have vision on that, I suppose. I would prefer there. But, I mean, that's just a small observation, because it's going to come off the road, right? And then it's going to turn. You might as well put it closer. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Behind that, Scout Law 80, he's going to this building. Presumably, he'll then move it up to there. You've got a CV. CV is going to go X-Ray Oscar, presumably, if he gets that far. Then a very interesting purchasing decision in that he chose to buy a Centurion Mark V AVRE. And the reason you never see these is because they're terrible. In real life, the Centurion fired an explosive shell with 17 times the power of the Chieftain. In this game, it's less than 3 times. I don't know why. It's just how they do it. But yeah, this thing isn't very good. It's got limited use cases in that somebody hits you with an RPG, you usually survive because you have 11 front armor, and then you counter smack him, and because you've got 432 suppression, he gets stunned, and then your teammate, your other units finish him off. The issue is, of course, the rate of fire of 3 rounds a minute. It can't target tanks, and in terms of raw DPS, you might as well just get a Warrior Milan with arm rifles inside, 2 units literally for the price of 1. And the DPS of the Warrior will be higher than the DPS of the AVRE, because it's got an autocannon that shoots faster, and you get infantry. So this thing is basically useless. The only time to use it would be at like very high vet, so it can shrug off the RPG and then counter-attack. Can be useful in dealing with some built-up areas, but he's brought it at no vet. So we'll see how that goes for him. And then, yeah, 2 Warrior Milans, a Tracked Rapier, a Bedford Supply, and a Chieftain Mark 11, and they're all going for the big push. On the right side, he's basically just given up Zulu, he just doesn't intend to fight for it, so he's got Scout Law 80 here, Scimitar back here, and yeah, CV for Alpha, and 1 Rifles for Alpha. So yeah, he's just not bothering with Zulu at all. Switching to Tiberius's deployment, he is bothering with Zulu, so we won't get the opportunity for me to show you that the other guy would get, that Sotek would get here first, because, or at least at the exact same time, because Sotek's just sort of given up on it. But yeah, he's attacking with 2 forward deployed Strela, 2 FS Jaeger, plus another FS Jaeger, for a total of 3 FS Jaeger, and then an FS Jaeger Metis. Putting it in this building is an interesting decision. I guess after that he'll move it up, but really a great place to put that is here. Although then you still can't shoot the reinforcement road. So swings and roundabouts, I suppose. Could put it anywhere really. Behind that, we've got another FS Metis and some other stuff. So the FS Metis is going to here as well. Forward deployed CV going to Lima and then presumably onto Zulu. Another FS Jaeger, he's going to there. 3 T55As. So this is the same price as the AVRE, but is way, way better. So not only does it have the same front armor, it also has the Resolute trait, which means it takes less suppression. It also has a gun that can shoot at both tanks and infantry, and it's got a heavy machine gun, and it's got a medium machine gun, and it doesn't fire at 3 rounds a minute. So this is just a way better version of this. I do not understand why this is 80 points. You'll notice it's faster. I don't know if I mentioned that. So yeah, the T55A is just a better version of the AVRE. No doubt, instead of reducing the points of the AVRE, they've just increased the points on the T55A. A nice cheap KPVT recon vehicle. These can be very effective at the start, going to there. And then another forward deployed contingent for the town. And correctly, Tiberius has chosen to secure the church, because you could, basically religious people could see further than atheists. So this is how far an atheist sees, and this is how far a religious person sees. In the Book of Marx, of course, communists see religion as the opiate of the masses and call for its destruction, but I guess they're fighting in West Germany, and that's why there's a church here. Behind that, another recon vehicle, and then we've got a forward deployed CV again, and another recon vehicle. So let's cast the game, and I'll do it from this perspective, because Ingerlannnnd. Right, so they're off, and I'd like to take this time to thank the generous channel joiners who get the videos up to a week early. They get members-only exclusive videos. They get their names on the screen. 1 subscription is worth 2,000 views. So if you're feeling bad about your ad blocker, you could subscribe for 1 month, get all those juicy members-only videos. There's like 12 now, because of it's 1 a week, right? So it's been a while. And then you could cancel it, and then you'd be covered for watching Hippie videos for like 5 years or something. so yeah, we've got I'm just really surprised that Sotek didn't even put 1 unit here. I mean, it could have, like, one forward deployed unit here could have fired its rocket launchers, really slowed that whole thing down, but he didn't do that. He just chose to completely give it up. He would have had money for a Terrier Paras Carl Gustav, 80 points. He could have got rid of the Centurion because it's not going to do anything, and then he could have put that forward deployed unit there. The Carl Gustav slowed all this down. It still would have won. Tiberius still would have got that. But yeah, I'll have to give you some vision on that as we fight here. Control of the church is very important, because you can see that Tiberius can see Sotek's entire deployment, right? So we're about to see the power of the Centurion, and you see it didn't really do anything, and now it's got to reload for 20 seconds. Meanwhile, the Milans are actually doing things. So I don't really agree with that purchasing decision. And you see those Terrier Paras survived, and the tracked rapier didn't finish it off. You need like 2 or 3 really. The ideal combination is 1 tracked rapier and 1 javelin Lamau, because the tracked rapier deals 6 damage, and the javelin Lamau deals 4 damage, and 6 plus 4 is 10 quick maths. So the Centurion AVRE is still reloading, and you see that it basically did nothing again. One thing he is doing is still moving while it's firing, which means it would have an accuracy of 1%. So that's definitely one of the decisions of all time. And you see Tiberius is moving his units back, just trying to drag this out for as long as possible, get some revenge kills. You know, he should be able to get some easy kills on these guys with the RPGs. And yeah, if they're not in a building, it does a little bit, but honestly, why not just get something else? AT plane trying to find an angle on that chieftain, but it's not going to. And keep in mind, this is game 3 of 3, so it's all to play for. yeah, so SAS patrol should be really getting into the church, and so that they can see further. But Sotek appears to have also renounced religion. Communism, of course, heavily based on the ideals of the French Revolution. I believe they also burnt lots of monasteries and stuff in the French Revolution. So I guess it's just one of those things. And yeah, a bit of the old air RNG. Yep, just one of those moments of all time. Tiberius chose to have his missiles miss, and Sotek chose for his missiles to hit. And they're never going to fix that, so you better get used to it. But there you go, so Sotek's managed to stabilize, but keep in mind that Tiberius got this ages ago, so Tiberius is 250 points up. And once this caps, which it is still doing very slowly, then it'll be even Stevens. So what are your chances here? You know, if you're blue, going for Papa is almost impossible because the enemy spawn is right here. So you can set things up, and it's a nice big open field where you can shoot them from multiple angles. Lots of people dying. There was something here that got killed by T-55 spam. And I'd just like to point out once again that this costs the same as this. This even has more range, right? It can shoot multiple different types of targets. It's dying, it's going against the narrative, it needs to live a bit more. But come on, I mean, you can tell what I mean. And Sotek drives the CV out before it fully caps. And you see that the AVRE is still reloading. But when it gets a shot off, it does, you know, it does 2 damage or 3 damage or whatever. It's just not worth it. These are just so much better. It is a shame, you hate to see it. I would be in favour of this literally being like 50 points. Or make the HE what it actually should be. Just like make it 9 like it is in Red Dragon. Then it would be a useful purchase. Or make it able to target tanks and suppress them. Because you can do that. You can press T and press on the tank. But yeah, it's just generally a piece of junk. Sotek, if you're watching, let me know why you brought it over just an extra card of arm rifles. Or a guy over here, as we spoke about. But yeah, Sotek very much on the back foot now. And Sotek has to be careful, because if these guys fire their Dushkas, they will just kill this. You can see they're starting to open up. It's already lost 1 HP, but I guess between the chieftains also helping out, does manage to survive, and this guy wasn't shooting that. So there you go, the Hellarm cleans up there. Quite rare to see that, actually. Usually they have aligning issues and then the machine gun's killed. But yeah, good micro. Bad micro, because he drove his tracked rapier here and it got blown up by that T-55A. So he's sending this forwards, and there's not much in the way of AA. There's no AA on this side of the map. There are 2 Strellas on the whole map. So the Hellarm is aligning. And I guess it's going to go for those transports now. The supply, even. And yeah, second tracked rapier gets the shot on that helicopter across the fields. A bit of an interesting bug there with the unit name, so I'll have to report that if they don't already know about it. This side is very static, nothing's really happening. It's just a case of Sotek desperately trying to stabilize this. Well, not desperately. He's trying to stabilize it. Tiberius is desperately trying to stop him. This is one of those moments where smoke would really come in handy. You know, you could do some smoke and get in the corner, something like that. And yeah, the T-55A shoot in the armoured vehicle, something that the AVRE cannot do. AVRE's died now, so I can stop talking about it. And this Hellarm, really good usage of the Hellarm. Mr. Heron here, getting lots of shots off, but he can't see because of the road, so he'd actually have to be around here to be able to shoot those reinforcements. And AA coming in now. Takes 2 Strela shots to kill a Hellarm, and the reason for that is because this has 2 engines. I don't know where they are, I'm just going to assume that it's 1 on each side. And that means it has 6 HP. That's how they do that HP calculation. Harrier purchase from Sotek. Quite rare to see this one. People usually prefer the Jaguar because it's faster and it dies less. But this is cheaper. And if the airways are uncontested, you can really get some chewing gum down on the ground. And then it can get hit by 2 45% accuracy Strellas and die. Once again, it's just the RNG of the air game. Don't expect anything to be done about that. It is a shame. What I'd love to see out from Sotek is, obviously the British mortars are only 81mm, so they're not very good, but even then, one mortar and you just constantly hit this area, because you know that he's stacked up in there, and you just constantly hit him. If you get it close enough, like behind this house, you can get some decent shots. This is just slightly too far away from the supplies, so it's not healing. This guy's out. He's got 1 AT left. The next thing to do would be to buy a howitzer and just use these scouts to spot which building these guys are in, hit it with a howitzer. Find the next building, hit it with the howitzer. Just keep doing that, but that's a big point investment. And all this time, Tiberius is just sending waves upon waves of cost-efficient units down this road. And so Sotek is forced to continuously reinvest. Second Harrier coming out, so they only have 8 HP, you see, unlike the Jaguar, which has 10, so it would have survived that. And these deal 4 damage, so that's why I mentioned that. But one of them's gone down, so he could, theoretically... I guess he's not got targets. He's going for the FS Jaeger. That's interesting, it's got like a yellow circle on it, not seen that before. So there you go. That was a good, nice, clean kill, as they say. But yeah, artillery is really a case to be made for just buying 1 howitzer on this map, and because you know he's there, and then just hit him with the howitzer, hit the next thing with the howitzer. But you know that's 1 tank, right? 1 slow British tank that can't move, and yeah, there's enough AA here now. Surprised by. Yeah, and once again, the Harrier flies over 2 Strela 10Ms with 45% accuracy, takes 2 hits and dies. That doesn't happen if you've got a Jaguar, because it's got 10 HP. So, you know, you hate to see it, but that's the second time it's happened. I'm glad I'm not in this game. The Hellam's in a really good position, though, because now he can shoot down the road, and he's, you know, the AA he's operating at max range, so the AA is going to struggle to hit him. The Chieftains could benefit from the Rover if you put it closer, then they'd get the extra vet, but then if the Rover dies, you're going to begin to mold. And this is the other reason, so you can land behind these buildings to dodge this MiG-29. And then there you go, just bad air RNG for Sotek. The MiG's missiles hit, the Tornado's missiles miss. Lots of RNG. Lots of RNG in the air game. This Chieftain's probably not long for this world, and he does smoke. Smoke costs 200 supply in this patch, so this is going to need a lot of supplying to get back up to full strength. And this has been a good job from Sotek by keeping guys on both angles. He's managed to, you know, collapse this pretty efficiently. The one thing I would say, of course, let's just point out, it's a lot easier for me to just sit here and give these guys advice than it is for me to actually do it in the heat of the match. And keep in mind that this is game 3 of 3. So whoever wins this wins the whole tournament. What he could do is get a Challenger 2, and instead of having 2 tanks here, he could have 1 here. And then you're actually getting side shots, as opposed to, you know, this, where you might get side shots and you might not. AT comes out, and smoke popped too early there. If you wait a bit, then he'll fly over the Rapier. The Rapier, of course, not being radar, because reasons. And therefore, as the plane gets out of vision, it sort of loses its tracking after a second, whereas the radar one, like the Cub, keeps it for much longer, keeps it for 2 seconds, I believe, which allows you to hit those targets that just enter your range and then fly back out. I believe the aim time, yep, 2.5 seconds on the Rapier, and 1 second on the Cub, because it's radar. And the Rapier, of course, 10 points cheaper, despite its lower range. Lower damage, lower suppression, lower armor. I mean, I guess it's amphibious. So, nothing really happening over here, except Tiberius intelligently has brought up some supply, so it's like this fight never happened for him, whereas Sotek has not found the time to do that. But this supply is 20 points, and Britain doesn't have a 20-point supply option, it's a 35-point supply option. This thing only has an accuracy of 35%, and the Rapier does get a hit off on it this time, but it's very cheap, and you get quite high availability. Really, oh no, so he does have it in his deck, the Javelin Lamaux. Yeah, really, whenever you're sending tanks forwards, you need Rapiers, but you also need Javelin Lamaux. The advantage of the Javelin Lamau is that it has the exceptional stealth, which means it can be in many cases in front of the tank, as opposed to... how did that happen? Did he send it amphibiously? This is amphibious. And then that will defend your tank, right? The issue with the British tanks is they're quite slow, so it's very difficult to get them out of the way once they get in the way. So, interesting play from Tiberius here. I don't know if the rifles went past them. I don't know who went past who there. I sort of missed it. Too busy complaining. And, yeah, we'll see what happens, because Tiberius has the advantage, but I think he's realised now. He's finally succumbed to the fact that he just can't get in here, and so the next best thing is to go for Alpha. Another reason why... Well, I don't know. I was going to say another reason why this map is blue favoured is because X-Ray is a lot harder to attack than like, Lima. But I guess it's Lima Alpha and it's Papa X-Ray, so it's actually not that different. So once again, the Chieftain's finding that they are very slow. And, yeah, finally some AA on this side. But crucially, these have 8 HP, just like the Harriers. I don't think this guy's going to make it. Yeah, because the Cub one-shots them, because it does 9 damage. So, no, I really don't rate the Harrier HE. Maybe it's good at the start of the game or something, but you've seen him, how he's lost all 3 to things that he would not have lost the planes to if they were Jaguars, because that's 9 HE on a 10 HP plane, it would survive. But here we go, cool attack coming in with mortars for smoke, Centurion MK5 AVRE for throw potential, just really wants to throw the game, and Warrior Milans for actually hurting the infantry. Don't get me wrong, this thing isn't completely useless, it's just a poor choice when you can just get 1 card of arm rifles plus Warrior Milans does exactly the same thing, except better in every way. And, yeah, so the attack begins. This recon, I guess, couldn't see that, and the mortars are smoking. So good usage of smoke, but all this fire support now can't help him. So sometimes it's best to, like, smoke here and then attack here. Or, you know, smoke here and attack here, and then you can use your fire support. Over here, Tiberius is going round. The rifles do have the Lore 80, which is pretty good, and you see that they just clean up those SPW-70s. But crucially, the CV got through. And I don't know if Sotek knows about this. I guess not, because nothing's coming over there. Except, well, I guess this tank? No, supply. Loitering ASF. And, yeah. That got rear shot and died, and even if it had tried to turn, it wouldn't have managed it because of how slow it is. Just generally a poor quality purchase when you could be getting something else. Because you see, you know, these guys are both shooting. My man here, he's still reloading, bro. His rifles are forced to rout. In terms of the infantry fight, the Mott Schützen are better than the rifles in terms of shooty, because they get the Resolute trait, which gives them higher suppression resistance, for free, basically. And they get 7.62 light support weapons, whereas the arm rifles only get 5.56 light support weapons. And the way it works in this game is if it's 7.62, it's better. So the rifles, they can hold their own. They really can, but they're not as good as Mott Schützen. But the British tanks are better than the fourth. Britain's the weakest division in the whole game. And yeah, what can you do, eh? So the arm rifles do manage to get in. Good smoke play. And now the fire support is either going to dive into the smoke or come around to here, which would be a really good idea, because if he gets it up to here, he could cut all the reinforcements. So this challenge has been brought as well. And it looks like Sotek is, yeah, he's worrying about bombers side-shotting this thing, so he's brought this all the way back here. He just doesn't know what's out here. And supply finally coming for those scouts. I guess it doesn't matter at this point. 2 tornadoes out for that MiG. Did it get the bombs off? Really cool sound effects. But yeah, Tiberius back up to a +2 because of the SPW-70. Jaguar HE. And you see the boom is bigger. Actually, the boom is the same. And wow, it got hit by 2 Strellas and survived? Your plane can do that? So yeah, really surprised to see the Harriers. Let me know, Sotek. Let me know why. Would love to see a bit of recon up here, but obviously it's not as easy as doing it. Although this could be just here. Because yeah, that anti-tank gun's going to be a serious problem. And the Gazelle rockets are great for spotting units behind the flanks and then not killing them. Like this. But yes, thankfully there is a tank there. So you see that was 3 Gazelle rockets firing their entire payload and it did half damage. So here we go, this is the AT plane. And it's going for that chieftain, but it gets intercepted. Is this guy going to peel over? And it does go down. You see lots of red units dying now. And as the smoke clears, finally the fire support can do its job. And get that sorted. So, you know, there are times to smoke and there are times not to smoke. You can smoke part of a front line so that you can focus on the other part of the front line. But if you have the fire superiority, it's best not to smoke. It's very hard to get right because you don't know what's in there when you're attacking. So, you know, I don't blame him. This guy really needs to get out of there before he dies. And this tornado just eats Strellas and dies because it was sort of loitering a bit much. And the Gazelle rocket's just being used to scout. Tiberius still on this +2, 20 minutes left, 400-point lead. The AVREs are existing. Obviously that can't shoot the BMP-1, unlike the Warrior Milan, which can shoot it with both its autocannon and its Milan. And yeah, you see, you know, even the suppression, it doesn't one suppress them. I think they just need to make the damage 9, like it was in Red Dragon. I think that would make it a pretty good unit. Or just stop it from being 80 points. Having said that, yeah, here we go. Jaguars bringing in the bombs, and the Gazelle mark the target. And then you see that this takes a while to uncap now. I'm not sure why that was done. But it was. If it's to stop sneaking CVs around the side, it actually makes it worse. Because if you sneak the CV in, you immediately contest the zone. But when you take the CV out, the zone stays contested for a while. So it actually has the opposite effect, if that was the intended idea. And here we go, more Warrior Milans. This is sort of the advantage of... and there you go, bomber interception there. The Javelin Lamaus and the Rapiers are moved up enough. Good scouts. Supply coming in. Mortars have stopped. What you could do is just put them on fire position and just hit like all the way back here. You don't know what's there. It might not get anything, but if they're not doing anything, it's better than nothing. Javelin Lamau really needs to get into this house, but he's on an attack move order. Challenger doing a lot of missing against this T-55A. Might go down. Takes another hit. And these Mott Schutzen are valiantly defending, but it looks like Sotek's got this. It really does. I mean, so Tiberius is buying these tanks, but these tanks are in a... well, actually, this one's got to get back, and the other one died, so... maybe the tanks can break through. Centurion, of course, can't shoot the tanks. And, yeah, it's just difficult to use your fire support in the town. Another thing you can do is send somebody up to here, but you don't know what's there, so you got to send the infantry first. Or you can just YOLO and just hope. But this guy does have an RPG, and because he's max vet, he's probably going to get a lot of kills. These T-55s are pretty scary, particularly with how cost-efficient they are. And when there's one challenger, this guy, you'll try and shoot and he'll just get suppressed, and then his fire rate will drop to 0. Depending on the recon, like they might not see him. Yeah, I actually don't think they see him. And then he gets a side shot off there, and still doesn't one-shot. Smoke came out a little bit too late there. I guess Tiberius assumed that he would target switch because it would have automatically target switched. RM70 going in for the Rover's probably going to get it. It's probably going to get it. What's the fire? No. What? CV snipe. Warno KDA motivation shot. And here you go. Assault Pioneers Carl Gustav. You don't see these guys very often. Rover just gets out by the skin of its teeth. And the Challenger is dueling these T-55As, but because they're not all shooting at once, it's going really well. And he does have the 2 vet. Jaguar doing work, takes 2 Stellar hits and survives. That should be your learning objective from today. If there's any learning objective. 1, don't bring the AVRE this patch. 2, the Harrier dies really easily, just bring the Jaguar, bro. So these guys are sort of caught out in the open. Would love to see some additional fire support, because there's all these tanks here, and Sotek has spared a Chieftain Mark 11 to help out, because it's basically a free fire zone for this Challenger, because instead of those tanks 4v1ing the Challenger, they all 1v1'd it one at a time. The Challenger just killed them all one at a time. And yeah, hull breach on that Centurion, as if it doesn't already have enough problems. Tornado HE! So this is a high altitude bomber, so the bombs take a long time to fall, but oh man, that was nasty. That was nasty. That was a lot of dead mort shots. So yeah, 3 HE bomber cards in Sotek's deck. Really likes his HE bomber cards. Now it's just about cleaning up. The Assault Pioneers Carl Gustav. The advantage of them is that they have shock. The Carl Gustav doesn't shoot infantry, so... But yeah, really interesting game. And with that, Sotek wins the French only fourth invitational. This invitational is in, if you're French, you can play tournament. And it's worth pointing out at this point that Sotek is actually my alt. So I won the 4th French invitational tournament against Tiberius-Rancor. And yeah, really interesting game. That Murdoch guy did really well for himself. It's just the T-55s weren't focusing him down. They were like 1v1ing him one at a time. I guess they didn't have recon, so they couldn't all see him, but that was a bit odd, actually. But he was also buffed up by the CV, and the Vet 2 was lowering his suppression, increasing his suppression resistance. So yeah, really interesting game. Really surprised that strategy paid off. And yeah, the Centurions AVREs were not a good purchase, really. But yeah, credit to both players. I can't believe that Britain is the true winner of the French 4th Invitational Tournament. Can you believe it, guys? Ingerlannnnd!